Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of Startup Talk. And today we are talking about negotiation strategies, tools, and techniques. Now, negotiation is a key skill for business success, and it's important that both parties leave the table satisfied. Win-win is a good thing, win-lose will only result in lose-lose. But so many entrepreneurs dread negotiations rather than viewing them as opportunities. So today we're going to talk about understanding your negotiation environment so you can apply the right strategy and get a fair and equitable deal. So we're going to talk about how do you prepare for a negotiation? What should be part of your negotiation plan? Which fundamentals do you need to have in place before you step into a negotiation? And how to know which negotiation style is the right one for you. Now, if you're new to the show, welcome. My name is Saskia, and I help you be the extraordinary entrepreneur you're meant to be. And one way that I do this is by hosting Startup Talk. Every week, I host a new guest, and we'll cover a topic that will help you grow as an entrepreneur and start up or level up your business. So join me every week here, live on Thursday, and connect with fellow entrepreneurs, share your best practices, your lessons learned, your wins and frustrations, so we can all grow together. As said, we go live every Thursday at 7 o'clock in the evening, so that's this time. If you want to know exactly which time that is, I have in the description a link to a shared calendar where you can see the episode topic and link for every week. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and if this time doesn't work for you, you can also rewatch the episode on Facebook, YouTube, and the website of the Entrepreneur Suite. And it's also available as a podcast on Spotify and iTunes. So however you tune in, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And share your thoughts in the comments. Whether you're listening in live or watching the replay, that section is there for a reason. Let us know what you think. Now, let me tell you about our guest of today, the incredible Stefanie Blacklaw. She is the founder and CEO of Protect Her Business, a business consultancy firm based in Houston, Texas. She helps her clients from all over the world protect their business idea, their brands, their companies by identifying opportunities for growth and barriers that will hinder long-term success. And she provides her clients with a clear strategy on how to achieve the opportunities and overcome their roadblocks. Now, before I pull her on the stage, she made me promise that I would give this disclaimer. Protect Her Business is not a law firm or a substitute of an attorney or law firm. The information and tips that she will provide today are for information purposes only and should not be construed as legal or financial advice. So, now, without any further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Stefanie. Hey, Stefanie.
Hi.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm so happy to have you on the show. I really like the topic you've chosen for today because this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, even though it's so important for your business success. There is so much to negotiate about. So I'm really happy to have you on the show here to talk about it today.
I'm happy to be here.
Good. So you are the founder of She Protects Her Business. How did that came to be?
So yes, I'm a business consultant and negotiation expert. So as you see in the title, my company is called Protect Her Business, and my target audience are female entrepreneurs. But business principles and negotiation tips and negotiation plan, that's universal. So I spent my corporate career working for startups and smaller organizations, scaling up their ventures. And so I understand the fear, the struggle, the doubts that so many entrepreneurs have. I remember when I walked into my first big negotiation, it was for that company, it was an investor agreement, it was make or break for that company. So I was really nervous. I understand that fear when it creeps up. And so I've done lots of things. I've been part of an international negotiation team for a cross-border divestitures. I've written a prospectus for a publicly listed company. I have done management or key account management for long-term service contract with major players in the industry. So I understand that the roller coaster of feelings and all this, that the feelings and the experience that I gained that's what I draw on to help my clients and to fast track their business success. And yeah, but I've also seen my parents grow their business to its full potential. So I've seen their wins, but also their struggles. So I get that when entrepreneurs come to me, I understand their feelings, and I understand that not everything is something like, oh, okay, you just do it.
Well, I completely agree. It's I think with negotiations there's a lot of emotion involved. It's you're starting your business, you're growing your business, it's your baby, so to speak, and then you have this deal that can make or break something, and then you get in your head, your emotions run all over the place. Then what? How do you start then? How do you start with preparing a negotiation?
So I like definitions. So let's start off with what I believe is a negotiation.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's a good one. First, what is a negotiation? Yeah, maybe I was too enthusiastic. I wanted to. Let's start with the basics.
Okay, let's start with basics. So I like the definition that the authors of the book Getting to Yes coined. They say it's a back and forth communication between you and the counterparty, and there are certain interests that are shared and certain interests that are opposed. So the result of this back and forth communication between you and the counterparty, or the parties, at some point it's more than one party, it should be a fair and equitable deal. It should be an agreement that all parties are satisfied with, because imagine if you have to fulfill a contractual obligation, even if it's just for 6 months, but you dread it every time you have to do it. All this energy you have to put in, it's going to feel like climbing Mount Everest in sandals. So you don't want to do that. So you want to prepare well for it. And you want to approach it as, oh, wait, maybe not like, this is something I've never done before, so let's leave it to the last minute. No, take your time and prepare well. And the more you're prepared, the less this feeling of fear can creep up. And kind of like, remember that if you are uncertain, it will show. It will show, and your counterparty will be able to read that. So I like to put a negotiation plan in place. So with my clients, I start with a checklist, and that checklist is then the basis for building a solid negotiation plan.
Well, I think that's a very good thing to start with, especially doing your homework, taking out the emotions, taking out your own insecurities, making sure that doesn't show, but that you're well prepared at the table. I think that's very valuable. So you start with a checklist.
So I start off with asking my clients, so what do you actually want from this negotiation? Think of it not so much, a signed agreement. Just think of it, put it in the bigger picture of how does it fit in with your company's short and longer term goals? And then that often leads to, oh, wait, I don't have certain business fundamentals in place. So for example, I haven't really thought about my business model. So if you don't have certain fundamentals in place and you cannot communicate them well, then the result for you might not be what you desire, because you haven't looked at it from a bigger picture perspective. So if you haven't put the fundamentals in place, that's where you start before we start even building the rest, or go through the checklist and build your negotiation plan.
Okay, so you really need to know your business fundamentals, your business model. You need to have a clear business plan. And I think this also helps against shiny object syndrome, like, oh, I have an opportunity here, let's just go there. Not ask why or how does this serve my business, but you take out that shiny object syndrome and you have a clear plan. This is what I want and how I want to achieve it.
Or like a lot of entrepreneurs start one way, kind of like you can think of it as like building a bridge. You start and you put effort in and you start building the bridge across that the river there, and halfway through, it's kind of like you said, the shiny objects, and oh wait, something new comes up. Let's build this one. So
Yeah, then you
It's
have a lot
kind
of
of,
half-built bridges,
yes, and
which is
you
a
never
lot of
really get.
effort. Yeah, which is a lot of effort, and you're not getting anywhere.
Exactly. So you want to avoid that. And also remember your core values. So if you're a solo entrepreneur, they're usually your own values, but think of them because they should guide you along the way as well. It's like, does it feel right for you to sign this agreement? For more established companies, if you do something that's against your core values, it might not be in your target audience might not appreciate it, and you might lose a market segment. So you don't want to do that. So keep that in mind as well.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Then then think about what you bring to the table, because everyone brings something to the table. What's your negotiation leverage? Maybe you and your company are opening the door for the counterparty to enter a new market segment. You never know. But think about it. It can just be something very little, especially if you're just starting up. But think about it. It might just help you get a deal. It's like if you don't prepare well, you might either leave money on the table, or you're getting taken advantage of at the negotiating table, or you might miss out on an even better deal. Because if I'm so focused on, I don't know, selling, for example, 100 tools that I've developed, but you actually want to buy 1,000, but I'm so focused on just selling 100, I miss out on an even better deal. So keep that in mind. You never know what it could be, and if it's just something little, it might just enable an even better deal.
Okay,
But
so it's knowing what's in it for you, but also what's in it for them, because they're sitting at the table with you as well. There must be something they want to have
yeah,
that you
I'm
have,
coming
right?
to them as well.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still with you, and then we're getting to the counterparty. So
Okay, I need to practice on my patience. Sorry. Continue.
no, don't worry about it. So the next step is thinking about strength, weaknesses, vulnerabilities. For example, for lots of entrepreneurs, a challenge is cash flow. So keep those challenges in mind, so that when you come up with proposals or you receive proposals, that it's not, you don't scramble and like, oh, how can I do this? You've thought it through, and you can reply, and you can make it work for both parties. The next one is your BATNA. So it's, for example, BATNA means
Wait,
that
what's a BATNA?
the BATNA is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So if you don't get to the result, meaning you are not able to sign an agreement with your counterparty, which happens there are instances you just have to walk away. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna buy from the competitor, and that has implications, for example, on price or delivery time, which means then your project timeline is extended? So think of what alternatives you have. Sometimes it's just status quo, but have it thought through just as much as your reservation point, which is basically, I like to think of it as kind of like you draw a line in the sand. Certain things all above here is what I can agree to. There will be kind of like the least acceptable agreement for me, and everything below, you just have to walk away. But you need to have thought it through where you're going to draw the line.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to know where is your line. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you also need to have thought of non-negotiables. So that could be, that often relates to your values. So or can be other things, because you need to be within a certain timeline. So getting the parts for example, the tool you're building, and they come 3 months late, isn't going to work for you. So there are like, for example, time or a price point. There are things that are non-negotiables. Have thought them through before you get even to the negotiating table. And now I'm coming to what you've thought, what you've started talking about earlier, is actually thinking about your counterparty. Because lots of entrepreneurs stop kind of like their preparation with, I have thought of everything that relates to me and my business, but they forget the counterparty because they're part of the equation.
Yeah, it's also about what's in it for them, right?
Yes, exactly. So what's in it for them? What's their negotiation leverage? Why are they wanting to negotiate with you? And you don't want to stop your homework halfway through, because if you don't do it, you might get surprises, and you don't want surprises while you're in that negotiation process. It's tense no matter what. So you don't want to get a surprise. So you want to think about whatever you have thought about for yourself. You want to do the same and think it through for your counterparty. And I know that
Isn't that a lot of guessing work? Like, I think they would want to have X, Y, and Z.
So sometimes it's easier to find that information. Sometimes it's more difficult. But think of it like you might just have someone in your network that has negotiated with that party before. So you could ask them. You can do some research on the internet. I mean, Google might just be your best friend. Yes, it will be to a certain extent guesswork. And but you want to get as much information as you can. But also, usually, I mean, we don't tend to just end up at a negotiating table without any communication beforehand. So you wanna take whatever email communication you had, or telephone calls, or Zoom meetings. You wanna read between the lines. You wanna look at the non-verbal communication. You wanna just pick everything you can. Just have before when you kind of like get to know them, have kind of like this mindset of, okay, I'm gonna look at and kind of like soak up every information I can, and then it might be it should, or might hopefully be easier to answer those questions and kind of like make that negotiation plan and take the other party into account.
Okay, so then you have an estimated guess, or a good estimated guess, and you know, kind of know what you can expect.
Yeah, and if you are, and like usually industries, it's not like that. It's you know each other in the industry, so that usually you can call someone or talk to someone and get a feel. So yeah, you should. It will usually be better than just guesswork. And sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's a little more difficult.
Do you notice, is there a difference between, say, you are a one-person army startup versus a big company? Say you're going to have negotiations with Google, for instance, or Microsoft or something like that. Is your preparations then different versus when the other party is just as big as you are?
So in the end, it comes down to the same. The negotiation prep is going to be similar. It's just the scale is different. If you're negotiating with Google, there is a lot more work to do, and it's going to be more complex. But the principles are the same. The principles will always be the same, but just all the little details that flow into that or that make up this plan, they're gonna be more complex. And like Google, like big companies, it doesn't even have to be Google, but established companies, they have just think about it. If you are a one-woman show, it's me, myself, and I. So I have to do all the prep work myself. But if you are a team, you get lots more input. You have kind of like different points of view, and it's not quite as overwhelming. But in the end, it's the same. It's the same checklist or same approach.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then you have your plan.
Yes.
Then what?
So just that you realize, even with the best plan, signing or like coming to an agreement, it's never guaranteed. But if you don't prep, the risk that you fail and don't get the agreement, or you're not satisfied with it, is just increasing. So you don't wanna do that. So what comes next? What's really important to me for my clients is mindset, because lots of entrepreneurs forget that. And kind of like, we know from our daily lives, if we are nervous, it shows. It's other people pick up on it. So you want to be in the right frame of mind, so that when you get to either the Zoom call, or maybe at some point when we're going to get back to negotiation in offices, you never know, you want to ooze confidence, because research has shown if you are scared, if you feel overwhelmed, if there's any feeling of fear, usually results in you making a lower offer, or your expectations are kind of, you have low expectations for this negotiation process. So kind of like, you can see where we're going to kind of like where that might lead. So you are not getting the best deal. You will leave money at the table. And so we don't want to do that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so there are a couple of tips that I give my clients to avoid that. And so realize that everything is negotiable. Nothing is off limits, nothing is final until you've actually signed the agreement. So just because you might have agreed on it verbally or in a call, it doesn't mean that the other party won't pick it apart again, because everything is negotiable until you've signed it.
Until you've signed it. Okay, so there's a lot of room to wiggle in there. By the way, I see we have Tamsin here in the comments. I would love to be in negotiation with Google. And she's thanking you for some very great tips. So that's very good to hear. Thank you, Tamsin.
You're very welcome.
Okay. So the mindset, knowing everything is negotiable and everything is fluid until you have signed at the dotted line.
Yes. A growth mindset is really important. So if you go in with a fixed mindset, you're kind of like, this is my plan and this is where I'm going to go. You will lose. You will leave money at the table, and you might just miss out on a really great deal. So you don't want to do that. Growth mindset, be open, and maybe, I mean, so often you come up with really great ideas just because you talk. And you start with something, and then it's kind of like this back and forth. And then suddenly you come up with a really great solution that you have never thought about. So go in with a growth mindset.
Okay, so it's not about being fixed on the outcome, but it's actually looking at how can we create something amazing, or build something. How can we build that bridge together? And the road to that bridge can be different than you envisioned it in the beginning.
Yeah, like kind of like this outside the box thinking. And just understand that I've mentioned it before, that sometimes you just cannot reach the deal. You try really hard, both parties try hard, and it just doesn't work out. And have it thought through before you get to the negotiating table. How do you think it might make you feel? How will you react? Or just think it through, because it can come up, and it might be it might be quite relevant. What's also important is think of how can you want to be confident. So how can you ooze confidence? Are there any kind of like, I give some little tips like dress appropriately. Don't show up in a blouse and a skirt and high heels when everyone else is in a jeans and t-shirt.
No, that's very valid.
It's little things like it. Or sit up straight, keep eye contact. If you tend to talk with your arms like this, and you might want to hold a pen, or I don't know, find something so that kind of like it grounds you a bit. And your mind can kind of like focus on, I don't know, a pen or whatever it might be that you hold, so that you can keep your arms still, and you're perceived as more confident if you do that.
Yeah, if you have this rest in your body language, that
yes,
is typically it oozes out more confidence than when you're, jumping around all over the place. Then
yes,
that gives a different image of yourself. That's true.
yes.
Yeah.
And lots of people, when they get nervous, they start using their arms. So, yeah.
So that's a great tell. So what I'm wondering, so you're mostly focusing, or you are focusing on the female entrepreneur. Do you notice there's a difference between how males and females approach negotiation tactics, and especially the mindset, I can imagine?
Yes. I feel like that for women, the emotions are much more part of the negotiation. For them, especially if they kind of like, as you've mentioned before, it's like your business is your baby. You understand all the sweat, the tears that you've put in, and they bubble up a lot more during negotiations. And men are tend to approach negotiations a lot more rational, or maybe they just are able to put the feelings a lot more to the side. But yes, the emotion, the mindset, and the feelings play a much bigger role for women than for men.
Okay, so for women, there's also the reason to have a good preparation, to do your homework, to know what is it you want, what you don't want, when do you walk away, what are your badness.
Yes, and also this change in perspective, because this often, if you're uncertain about something, it's you avoid it as long as you can, and at some point then you have to deal with it. And it's kind of like negotiation preparation, and the negotiation process is more done on the fly, and that usually doesn't yield the results you are aiming for. So I understand that it can be difficult. It's just you're anxious about it, and you kind of like put it to the side. Don't do that. If you change your mindset and view it as an opportunity, I know it's like the first step is always the hardest, but the more you then prepare, the easier it gets. Not saying that it's something that just flows, but it's the more you prepare, the less fear you will have, and the more you will view it as an opportunity, and the more you're open to proposals, and the more likely you will get the result you were aiming for.
I think those are great tips. So then you've done your homework, you have your plan, you worked on your mindset, you have your attitude right there with you. You're stepping into the room or into the Zoom meeting. Do you notice, are there different ways people negotiate, different styles, and how do you know what works for you?
So I don't think it's so much what works for you. It's much more of understanding of who you are, or what negotiation, like what type of negotiator are you? Kind of like we all different people, so we are different the way we approach negotiations. And kind of like I like to use Kilman's 5 conflict styles. So I get that conflict isn't negotiation, but these conflict styles correlate quite well with the different styles of negotiators. So it's obviously we are all different. So there are obviously different nuances to those 5 different styles, but it gives you an overview.
Okay, so can you help me out, because I'm not familiar with the 5 conflict styles, and I don't want this to be a test. Like, what are the 5 conflict styles? I'm not familiar with them. But help me out. What are these styles?
So it's the competing, the accommodating, the avoiding, the collaborative, and the compromising style. And the competing one is, so let's rewind a bit. So kind of like with the business prep or like the negotiation prep list, building that plan, it's kind of like you approach it a similar way. You look at how you tend, kind of like who are you, kind of like, and what's your style. Often if we ask friends and family, because we negotiate on a daily basis, it's formal, informal.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. That's
So
all.
we friends, family, colleagues know us pretty well, and you will get feedback there. So you if you don't know kind of like how you might approach the negotiation, then go and ask friends, family, and you'll get some feedback, and it will be easier for you to kind of like understand your style. But then kind of like the same as I've said with understanding your counterparty, also understand, maybe it's guesswork, but try to find out how they tend to negotiate. Are they aggressive? Are they we want a deal and we want it now, and we're not interested in building a long-term relationship? Or they're more collaborative. We want a good relationship. We have a long-term view. So you want to try to figure out as much as you can, because it will help you kind of like navigate the negotiation environment and the negotiation process better.
Okay. So, but I can imagine, yeah, well, as you said earlier, you've already spoken to the guy or woman at the other side of the table. So you have a feeling like this is the type of person that's there. Maybe there are more persons there, and well, they can blindside you with, oh, this is a type I maybe wouldn't have expected to have at the negotiation table. How do you deal with that? Do you make a plan for, hey, what if this happens? What if is that part of your plan?
Yes, for example, it's like from daily life, we know that there are things that can throw you off balance. So you need to, you probably know yourself quite well that that can happen and how you will react. But kind of like I tell my clients, so if that happens and you need to recover from poise, kind of like ask for, I don't know, a coffee break or like a bathroom break, or just, hey, let's take a 10-minute break. And for me, I like to leave the room because a change of scenery helps. And yes, as you said, there can be tactics part of it, and that will happen, but maybe just leaving the room and catching your breath might help you kind of like calm down and
repoise yourself.
Yeah, and reboot. Yeah,
reboot. I love that tip. So typically when I go into a negotiation, you get, who are you and who are we and how can we work together? And I just had to think back about the negotiation. It's a few years ago. It was with quite a big company, and I came in and we were just starting, and literally the guy walks in and he's like, "What are you here to do?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And maybe in that moment I would have said, okay, in that moment I already knew this is not going to be it. This is not going to be it. So it wasn't, and it didn't become something like that. But it caught me off guard, like, what do you mean? What am I here to do? He really had no idea. I had made a whole proposal. We had conversations via mail and stuff, but this was the guy that was intended to be there, wasn't there. So they sent a different one, and it was, a bit higher up in the tree. And I was just so flabbergasted, like, what do you mean you don't know why I'm here? Then why am I even here, So it wasn't the best outcome there.
And sometimes that can be tactics as well. So sometimes it's like, why are we talking? Like, meaning, why are we even having this negotiation? I know that I don't want to work with you. But sometimes it's just used as a tactics to just get kind of like throw you off balance, so that you're like, oh no, and you never know. It's difficult to say, like, now, was it tactics, or just did they not want to work with the company you worked for at that time?
I think, but looking back at it, it was a kind of company. There were two directors, and one of them was very collaborative, and the other one was just like, nope. And I initially spoke with the very collaborative one, but then in the meeting I had the other one, and he was just like, nope. So, oh well, it just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Yeah, it's
It
sometimes you
happens.
just need to walk away.
Sometimes, well, and it's a good learning experience. And I think
Yes.
that also ties back with your comment about the growth mindset. The fact that I in that moment didn't get what I wanted out of the negotiation doesn't mean that you failed. You learned something,
No.
and maybe
Yes.
it just wasn't meant to be. And then it's a good thing that you know when to walk away.
Yes. And it can also be, if you look back at it, as how did I react? What can I improve next time that happens? And what will I do when I made such a, like, it, kind of like, he seemed to me the guy that you ended up with in the negotiation, much more of a competing negotiator, this style of being extremely assertive, very confident, sometimes even he sounded like very domineering. So it's like, how are you going to meet, because we will meet people like that in business. So what can we do that we are not feeling like we failed? What can we learn, and what can you do so that next time that happens again, you walk out walk out either earlier or walk out differently. Just look at it and what have you learned, and how can you do it next time so that you feel better in that situation.
Yeah. I think indeed having a great plan, having a good plan, doing the homework, knowing this is when I'm walking away, this is when I'm staying, this is what I want from it, these are my alternatives. I think that's very valuable. I think the mindset part is really important. Seeing like it's in a negotiation, it's not all negotiations are all or nothing. It's not like every negotiation you have is the balance of your company is waiting there, is resting on that one single moment in time. And it's accepting that sometimes it will work out and sometimes it will not work out.
Yes.
That's just part of the deal.
Yes, exactly.
So if you look at negotiations, what is a common myth for people who do a lot of negotiations?
It depends where you are in your journey. I think if you're just starting up, often the association is, oh, it's scary. I will be taken advantage of, and kind of like dollar signs, meaning there is a good chance that it might cost me a lot of money because I need to involve an attorney. I need to have lots of different people involved, and it's just expensive. And if it doesn't work out, then I've spent all this money and I haven't gotten anywhere. Kind of like a negative view.
Yeah, so it's really the mindset.
Yes.
Oh, it sounds really like the mindset. Well, you just you said an attorney, and that actually triggers me. When do you include an attorney in a negotiation? When do you know, like, okay, wait, now it shouldn't just be me at the table. I need to include an attorney. When do you come to that point?
There is no kind of like it's not like math. 1 + 1 = 2. It's not like that. So you should have an attorney. Find someone you trust, someone you can work with. Obviously, that attorney needs to be licensed in the jurisdiction of the contract. So have someone that you trust, can work well with, and depending on the size of the deal, sometimes they're part of the negotiation team, sometimes is you negotiated, and both parties send it then to their respective attorneys. They have a look through, and then it's them kind of like saying, oh no, we can't have this wording, this doesn't work. But it depends very much on the situation. But first of all, a handshake agreement isn't something that you should have. It should always be signed, and you should have it checked by your trusted attorney, so that you are sure whatever the the counterparty told you this means, if you're not familiar with the legalese, then kind of like, does it really mean what they are telling me? Or from my side, in connection with the responsibilities and obligations I have, does this really mean this, or does it expose my company to some sort of risk that I haven't calculated and that could break my company if it goes wrong? So you want to have that kind of like that safety net of having someone, an attorney, have it look through and check, and so that you are sure that what you sign is what you sign and not something that you think you're going to sign.
Yeah, and I can second that. That was one lessons learned I had a few years ago. We had it was with a whole team, and we had this huge party that wanted to work with us, and it was just, out of the world. If that happened, we would almost literally change the world as we know it today. But they had a contract, and they had a short amount of time, so we could review it, but then it had to be signed because time was of the essence. And we were so excited, and we're like, oh wow, we're gonna change the world, that whole stuff. So we checked it as a legal noob, if I may say, and we signed it. And afterwards, we actually had it checked by an attorney, and he was like, "This is so fake. You didn't sign anything. This is like." And in the end, it completely fell through. It's that also was not meant to be. So I can absolutely second, if you have a negotiation that went well, and before you sign, always make sure that an attorney checks it, that you know what you're signing for, and don't let yourself be carried away by the excitement, like, oh, the sooner I sign it, the better it is. Ooh.
Yeah, and just realize that sometimes when the other party pushes and says, oh, let's sign this, time is of the essence, like we need to get this done. That can also be tactics.
That's true. Yeah, and then you're so just in the moment that you're like, you want to believe that, oh no, they have the best intention, and it's not saying that they don't, but it doesn't mean that that's the same as the best intention for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so Stefanie, I love the content you're showing here and the tips you've given here. If our viewers want to learn more about you, where can they go? And what can you offer them?
My website, protectherbusiness.com.
Yeah.
I'm also on Instagram with the handle Protect Her Business, or Stefanie Blacklaw on LinkedIn. So what do I do? So I have a signature service, which is her business expansion assessment. It's an holistic assessment fit for startups, small businesses, and companies expanding and growing. So what I do is I want my client to understand where they are right now with their company, pinpoint growth potential. Because often, if you're so focused on your company, trying to grow it, and we, as entrepreneurs, the to-do list gets longer. As soon as we have crossed something off, at least 3 new topics have been added to it. So you sometimes don't see growth opportunities. So I come in as an objective third party and have a look and help you identify growth potential, but also sometimes we don't view certain things as roadblocks, because those barriers or roadblocks can mean that actually with these, if you don't address them, you can't achieve long-term business success. And what I do is we go through this assessment. I'll give you a report, and then either you can implement the recommendations I give you, or we can do it together and I can help you. And part of the follow-up services that I provide is, for example, helping you prepare for negotiations.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. And you have a book coming up, right?
Yes, I have. I'm writing a book, and it'll be published later this year. And I'm trying to leverage the knowledge of seasoned, successful female entrepreneurs, kind of like the golden nuggets they shared with me, kind of like trying to tell their stories, and like how did they overcome challenges, and were they able to secure revenue streams, develop and like how do they grow their business idea, and like creating this buzz for your company so that people are getting the interest to. I'm trying to I'm collecting this knowledge and hopefully entrepreneurs just starting up and with so much information on our fingertips every day, but trying to condense it so that you have kind of like the negotiation plan and a plan that can help you going forward.
Sounds good. Well, I'm really looking forward to that book as well. It sounds amazing. So yeah, Stefanie, thank you for being here with us today. I really liked the topic, the tips that you gave us. So it's important that we have a clear plan, that we know what is it that we want, what is it that we don't want, when are we walking away, what do we expect that the other people, the other party wants, and how can we make mutual benefit out of that. We spoke about mindset. We spoke about the different negotiation types and how you can leverage that and how you also should incorporate that in the plan. And once you've done your negotiation, always make sure that a lawyer checks it.
Yes.
So does that cover I think that covers this.
Yes,
summarize
that covers
it, right?
Yes, really well.
Well, thank you for being here today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, great. So yeah, if you want to know more about Stefanie, definitely check out her website and her book. And if you like this kind of content, then make sure to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe to the Entrepreneur Suite. And if you want to know more about me, this show, the Entrepreneur Suite, go to theentrepreneursuite.com. And of course, join me again next week. My guest will then share her inspiring story about how she is competing against a giant. I'm not going to say yet which giant, but it's if you ever stayed somewhere and it wasn't in a hotel, then typically you know the name of it. So that's something next week. And yeah, thank you all for being here with us today, and I hope to see you all again next week. Bye, everyone.